Right now, a weather watch alert for more freezing rain possible overnight and watching a potentially bigger storm early next week.
Plus, he admitted to hitting and killing a police officer. Now a drunk driver finds out his fate.
Of all of those families, we were only involved with 3.
And keeping children safe after 8 babies overdosed on fentanyl in 3 years. A look at the changes now being recommended for Connecticut's Child Welfare Agency. Plus, students speak out as the Stone Academy situation continues to unfold.
What Stone Academy did to you all was wrong, and they should pay for it.
What the Attorney General's office is doing to help.
A day of honor, a day of remembrance in New Britain. We are at the Iwo Jima Memorial. I'm Jim Altman. More ahead on the Fox 61 News.
Plus, dogs rescued after a stay at the New Haven Police Department's animal shelter. Why the state is now opening an investigation into the shelter.
Now at 6, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us here on the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Ben Goldman.
And I'm Jen Bernstein. We are still in a weather alert tonight. Here's what it looked like earlier in Hartford. So will the rain continue? That's the big question.
Meteorologist Ryan Breton starting us off here. Ryan, what's coming our way?
Ben and Jen, we have a little bit of freezing rain that's coming up tonight. A winter weather advisory is still in effect for the northern 4 counties. This is where there may be a little bit of light icing overnight, and some ice may reform even on some treated roads tonight. May have to retreat them in time for tomorrow morning. It's 31 in Newington, but 29 in Avon. We're at 29 in Andover as well, 28 in Farmington, and 29 in Southington. So it's really as you get up in elevation where we're concerned here tonight. Near and along the shoreline, temperatures safely above freezing there, so shouldn't be too much of a problem near and along the shore, but inland we may have some freezing rain tonight. Right now the radar is quiet, but look off to the west. There's a band of showers forming here, and this will arrive after about 9 o'clock tonight. So if you have any plans the next couple of hours, no problems here then, but later this evening, a line of showers that may drop some freezing rain and coat up any untreated surfaces, especially in the northern half of the state. Temperatures tonight drop into the 20s inland, 30s along the shoreline. This is where we're not too concerned about any sleet or freezing rain. And then tomorrow, temperatures go in the wrong direction, down during the day. We'll talk more about that, the gusty winds that come along with it, and a storm next week, all coming up.
All right, thank you, Ryan. A drunk driver learned his fate in court today.
He's been sentenced for killing a police officer in South Windsor back in 2021. Fox 61, the only ones in the courtroom, and our Carmen Chow joining us live in Vernon with more on what happened there earlier today. Carmen?
Ben and Jen, the judge called this a very tough case, saying nobody wins at the end. Spencer Krause was sentenced to 11 years in prison, and those who knew 25-year-old Ben Lovett showed up in numbers tonight, and there wasn't a single empty spot in the gallery. Videos of Lovett's fellow South Windsor officers were played by the prosecutor, each describing what he was like as a person, saying Lovett was very mature at his age and had already accomplished a lot and loved his job as an officer. You were able to hear sobbing from Lovett's loved ones while that video played. Lovett's parents also spoke, of which we were not allowed to record during the sentencing, but his mother Diane spoke with a speech in her hand. Her voice was trembling, saying celebrating holidays and birthdays without her son has been the absolute worst. Lovett's father, Rob, brought an urn with the son's ashes and wore the hat his son wore the day of the crash. At one point, his father looks at Spencer Krause and said, "This is all I have left of my son, rot in hell."
This is one of the cases that I stay awake weeks thinking about, because my job is serious and I have to get it right. And I know that none of you will be happy with what I do. That's the given. But I'm doing what I think is appropriate and just.
I can't change what's in the past, but I can change what's in my future. I'm committed to a life of sobriety and helping others to not make the same mistakes I've made. I'm deeply ashamed of my actions that led to this tragedy, and I know that all I can do is promise to honor Ben's life and his mission.
He made a decision to try and get away, and then he made another decision to try and get away, and then he made a third decision to try and get away.
Now, aside from his 11 years in prison, Krause must make a yearly $300 charitable donation to the South Windsor Police Explorers program. He must
And we'll try to get back to her. Meanwhile, the state's top lawyer has made it official that he's now launching an investigation into unfair trade practices at Stone Academy. The mainly nursing-focused school suddenly shut down last week rather than face an audit. Fox 61's Matt Caron's been covering the story from the start. He joins us with the very latest.
Well, today we learned that not only are Stone Academy leaders not talking to their students, but they're also stonewalling state officials who are trying to get to the bottom of what the school knew and when.
We are going to throw everything we have at them.
After receiving more than 100 complaints impacting more than 900 students, Attorney General William Tong announced he's issued a subpoena for access to Stone Academy's records on tuition, marketing, revenue, and accreditation, backed up by state lawmakers.
What Stone Academy did to you all was wrong, and they should pay for it.
Students just months away from graduation now left in limbo. The State Office of Higher Ed with a sobering announcement.
Some of those hours may not count, and these on-campus clinicals that were done, those absolutely will not be registered by the nursing board.
Down but not out. Students say they aren't giving up on their dream.
You will see me out there as a nurse.
Stone Academy has told students to consider transferring their credits to these 4 partner institutions, but President Joe Beerbaum has ties to 2 of them. We asked the question. And Joe Beerbaum and his family, Mark Scheinberg, have ties to both of those schools.
If we find any violations of law or conflicts of interest, we will take action.
Not all the Stone Academy students who gathered at the Capitol to hear the announcement were happy with their public servants.
The second I asked a question why the state allowed Stone Academy to continue taking students when they already had multiple violations, everyone turned their back and walked away.
Questions remain on whether Stone Academy misused state and federal funds and whether it engaged in deceptive and predatory practices.
One of the largest heists of African American and Latino people in the history of this state.
And aside from the Attorney General's investigation, state lawmakers told me they're going to be taking a look at the laws to see if they can be strengthened with regard to more regulation and oversight for these for-profit schools so that what happened to Stone Academy doesn't happen again. Reporting at the state capitol complex in Hartford, Matt Caron, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Thank you, Matt. Moving on now to new information tonight in the case of a Platt High School swim coach accused of recording an underage player. The victim says that she was changing in the coach's office and discovered Coach Daniel Barillo after his phone recording her. Barillo appeared to admit to police that he recorded the victim but said it was accidental. Police still charge the suspect with 1 count of voyeurism due to security camera evidence, and their belief is that it would be hard to accidentally record on his phone.
In Waterbury, the man who killed a Waterbury school employee sentenced to 105 years behind bars. Christopher Iverson was found guilty of killing Salita Billups back in 2018. Her 11-year-old son told police that he heard his mom crying for help in her bedroom and saw her get stabbed by Iverson. He then tied the boy to a chair with his karate belt, hit him in the head with a bottle, and lit the bed on fire. The boy was able to escape when Billups' husband got home and called 911.
On to another really tough story here. A 13-month-old baby overdoses on fentanyl the day before a planned visit with caseworkers. One of the most catastrophic cases to ever fall under the state's watch.
Yeah, now, a year after baby Kaylee died in Salem, the office is tasked with advocating for children, issuing a critical review of the state agency tasked with protecting children. Fox 61's Samaya Hernandez spoke with the heads of both of those agencies and joins us in studio with a full report.
That's right, Jen and Ben, and it's not easy to be responsible for the most vulnerable children living in homes with substance abuse, and that's the case for 70% of the families served by DCF. Still, the state's child advocate says that there are preventable tragedies that need to be addressed after not 1, not 2, but 8 Connecticut children overdosed on fentanyl in a 3-year time frame. It's a problem bigger than any one agency.
Of all of those families, we were only involved with 3.
Whether working to keep children with blood relatives or help them adjust to foster homes, catastrophic outcomes happen.
Some of the casework around those families and for those children was inconsistent and didn't always meet the children and families' needs. And baby Kaylee's case was an example of that.
Connecticut's child advocate Sarah Egan issuing a 15-page review Thursday following the death of baby Kaylee, a Salem 13-month-old who overdosed on fentanyl a year ago. The letter addressed to the commissioner of the Department of Children and Families is not a report card on a massive agency with more than 3,000 kids under its watch, but a review of its most severe cases.
We're recommending that that work has to be rigorously evaluated to make sure that identified deficiencies in case practice that are affecting vulnerable children are being remedied.
Of 99 kids that died over 3 years, 24% had open cases with DCF. Egan recommends the agency
to be transparent about its findings and to publicly report those findings.
Our areas of transparency have been probably stronger than they have been ever.
The letter accuses DCF of inadequate safety plans in baby Kaylee and other cases. But Commissioner Vanessa Durantes stands by its safety protocols that have been strengthened since Kaylee died.
Whether I believe that our safety practices are inadequate today, I do not.
Egan's letter also a wake-up call about the explosion of fentanyl, which now accounts for most overdose deaths, and the ways it impacts vulnerable children.
And the amount that it takes to be lethal to a baby is microscopic. The size of a penny.
And DCF says it started a fentanyl advisory group and now equips social workers with a new overdose app. The commissioner says it's working in collaboration with other child welfare agencies to analyze every catastrophic and near catastrophic case to learn what it can do better. In studio, I'm Samaya Hernandez, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.